Well, welcome back to McGowan's Canvas Miracles. Well, we have a special guest today. There's something in everybody's life that touches you, and this show's about finding the people who make an impact and help lift us up. And Darlene Summers, who, when I found out about your programs and the stuff you do, and you've been coming to my art class, and some of the things that just like, what? Wow, was magical. So welcome today, and I'm so glad that you're in. And we're going to do a little painting, maybe paint some clouds, something simple, just keep it easy, and talk about the special work that you do.
It's BraveHearts, those who have lost a child.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, it's what they call, it's an elite group, and it's not one anybody wants to belong to because the price is too high to pay. So I wish I didn't have to start this because it's, it's not an easy chore, it's not an easy drive, but it's a very necessary one. Yeah, so that's kind of the start of it. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but that's because I lost a child, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why I wanted to start something, because I understood after I lost a child, and I mean, I had many losses in my life, Rob. I really have, and they're hard and they're painful, but when I lost a child, it's like a part of your DNA going. And it's a whole different level of grief.
And how long ago was this?
2006.
Okay.
My daughter was Michaela. She was 9 years old, and she was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And it was inoperable, so we just had to learn to pray and hope that she was going to be a survivor of it, but it took her life on July 4th, 2006. Yeah.
In the organization, it's so many people that are going through what you went through. So you go through this thing with your daughter and emotionally destroying somebody, of course.
Yes.
I mean, it would be an awful thing. And then, so tell me about the vision. How did you get started with this? We had talked a few times, and you told me you had this vision and stuff. Tell me a little bit about that.
I did. It's pretty incredible. When I look back at it now, at the time, it was kind of all over the place, but it actually started when approximately 2 weeks after I lost her. I totally don't remember the first 2 years after her death because it's so deep and painful, and it's what you want to call the dark night of the soul. But I remember specifically this man coming to my door, and he had a Nelson Monuments catalog. And I now was faced at shopping for my daughter's tombstone, which was devastating. And I'm looking at this man, and he's a very kind person, and I could tell the compassion and empathy in his heart was huge for me. And I knew there was something different about him. And as we talked, and we went through the catalog, and he told me, what to do and what he could do. He said to me, "This is an elite club. This is not a club anyone wants to belong to because the price is just too high to pay." And when he said that to me, I looked at him, and I suddenly understood and realized he had lost a child. So he told me, he said, and I'll say his name because we say his name all the time, and we actually coined that. Mm-hmm. We have a beautiful, a part of our, what you call, I can't think of the name of it, but we have the BraveHearts, and we have him, and his quote is Buddy O'Toole. So Buddy O'Toole lost his son, and I know Buddy will be fine with me talking about that, to a car accident when he was only 16. So instantly, I looked at him and I said, oh, gosh, okay, this is a totally different loss. And this man understands. And he didn't know this, but right at that moment, I said, I know what I have to do. Because the only one that can really understand my pain is another parent. And that's how it's sort of initiated in my heart and soul. And I said, I have to start a group with parents who have lost children because they're the only one, clearly they are the only one who can understand. Now you can go, we're not professed counselors or Greek counselors or anything like that. We're just parents who have lost children And we understand each other. There's a level of understanding when you lose a child. And at that moment, I said, oh, next week I'm going to start this group. I have to do this because that's where I long to be, you see. I longed to be with parents who understood my pain because I felt like I was going around in circles with nowhere to go, hitting walls. If I talked to somebody, they really, truly didn't understand. And then you get to the place where people don't want to hear because it's too painful for them, and they think they're hurting you. It's just like a whole big circle of, it's so difficult to share the death of a child.
I never really thought about that because the comfort level and who you could talk with and having somebody to talk with. Well, we're talking.
Yes.
I guess we should work on our paint at the same time, right? So grab the wide brush.
The
like
wide,
this.
but now my glasses have to go on.
Oh, not really, not for this part. I'm just gonna put brush in the water, grab a little blue, and above the tape, so you see there's a tape line on there. We're just gonna talk, but we're just gonna paint that canvas blue. Simple, just covered all blue.
Haha.
Remember, we always say simple in class.
You know.
So go on, keep telling me your story, though.
Yeah, so I was sure as Buddy was talking and we were doing up the tombstone and the order, and I thought for sure I was going to be able to do this within the year. I was going to do it, and it took me 16 years.
Oh, wow.
Before I actually was able to do it because, oh my gosh, like
16 years.
16 years. And it was burning in my soul for 16 years. And I am a bit of a procrastinator, so that didn't help. But procrastination, as I've learned, sometimes comes out of fear, right? You procrastinate because you're afraid, and so many, many things. But I was unable to do anything in that line of BraveHearts, those who have lost a child, or creating a group for parents, until I actually felt my pain to heal my pain. Because if you don't feel your pain, you're not going to heal your pain, and people run away from the pain, and that's why it takes so long to actually get something done in that sort of a manner, because it's very difficult. I was a runner. I ran for years from it.
Add a little water to your brush. It'll spread around a lot better.
Thank you.
And you ran for years from it, yeah?
And you teach that too. Every time I'm painting, you say add that water, and I never do.
Nice and soft, and just blend it really light, and just filling it in.
Yeah, it took 16 years too, but
you were thinking about it all that time.
I was, and I actually, and it wasn't just thinking, because I really did try to put things together. I really did, but I always believe there's perfect timing, and when the student's ready, the teacher will appear, or the group will appear, the people will appear, and that's kind of what happened. I also sell meat pies. I'll tell you the little story on how I brought some amazing people came into my life to be able to help me get this going. And I was selling meat pies, and this gentleman came to my door, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and I can't remember the whole thing, but I remember him standing there. He was having a bad day, I was having a bad day, but neither one of us were showing it, and he was bringing me, I bought some fish chowder from him, and he was buying meat pies from me. We're doing an exchange, and we got talking, and he said something about, he's seen a post of mine, and he said, Darlene, I didn't know you lost a child, and I said, yes, and his name is Leskinish, and he's like my stronghold. I adore him because he's really, he's a doer. I kept running into him, and it would always be at Super Value when we were getting groceries, and finally I looked at him and I said, I'm ready, and we have to get this going. So a couple of years ago, Judy and Veronica, when they had a show, had interviewed us.
Have a chat, yeah, it was right here at the set on Rogers, yeah.
And we were both interviewed, and it gave us a lot of coverage and awareness. And we started after that, like I got what I needed to do, and I just came up with the plan and how to move forward with it, and it's been phenomenal. It really has. It was time.
So you get this plan
Yeah.
to put this organization together to help people out that are going through the same kinds of things that you guys have gone through.
Yes.
And how does that begin? How do you start a program like that?
BraveHearts is not particularly a religious group. We don't profess any religion or spirituality because I find that that can separate people, right? Well, I'm Catholic, I'm Protestant, we're not seeing this. So we kind of leave that out.
Yeah.
But the thing about our speakers are they have to tell their story.
Sure.
And if God's in there, God's in there.
That's awesome.
Right?
That's the way
So,
it should be.
and that's totally, and I from the get-go, I really believed that that's what we needed to do. So,
Once you
I
get down
was-
to the tape line, so just keep going down until you're right down to the tape line.
yes.
Yep.
So I was, am I doing this soft
You're
enough?
doing great. Yeah. Amazing.
Oh, yes. So I do meditate.
So the very first event,
Yeah.
what did you do? You decide we're going to
So-
have it in a building. How did you even get to know the
Yes.
people that would want to be participating?
So important. So I do pray and meditate myself, my own personal form. And I had this childhood friend who we used to play marbles together, and we were just like super close when we were young. And I hadn't seen him for years, but a few years after I lost my daughter, he lost his son. And it was a suicide. And I was devastated for him because that's kind of a,
So the organization has everything from children dying of sickness to suicides to everything. Okay.
even baby angels, because some moms lose their stillborn, or they
Sure.
you know, they're a few days or whatever, and they carry the most hard aching pain because they have nothing to say, show to people. They don't have pictures most times, and so we really try to reinforce the fact that, you know, we want them there because they're paining. I know a few people that have lost children 40 years ago. It still tears them apart because it was a stillborn. It was, you know, and so it's everything. If you've lost a child, and we have incorporated grandparents too, because it's every bit as devastating to grandparents as, you know, I mean, they those are their little grandchildren. So in my prayer time, this particular person, and his name is Mitchell Linkletter, came to me, and I remember saying, "Oh my God, I need speakers." And I thought, I'm not asking Mitchell. And I sort of looked at God and said, you ask him, I'm not asking him. I can't do that. I don't know what kind of pain he's in. I haven't talked to him for years. But it wouldn't leave me. It would not leave me. So I messaged him and Shannon. And I said, blah, 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 this is what we're doing. Would you be interested in being a speaker on and advocate for parents who have lost children to suicide? I need somebody, you know. And I didn't get an answer right away, which I didn't think I would. And then finally, Shannon and Mitchell decided that they would. So that was my second speaker, because it was me and Les, and then there was Mitchell. And so this is kind of, so it took a few months to get the right people in there, the people who were able to do it, or maybe not quite able, but willing to do it. And then we just started to advocate for parents who lost children. I did social media, I did just like talking to people. They did too. Then we ended up with a committee. Our first event was at Travel Lodge.
We're going to grab a little blue paint.
A little blue or black?
Yeah, and just blue, solid blue. And just on the bottom, we're just going to make it a little darker, like there's an undertone under the sky. So we're just going to separate the sky with a little bit of blue down here. And then
And you
softly
make it
touches the edges, just so it looks like it's blending in. It's like that.
Not killing it, Ron?
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
So you get these guys together, and you're
Yeah.
arranging to go to the Travel Lodge, and
Yes.
Speaking.
So we did have to rent the room, and we served lunch and tea and coffee, and that's all included. So we did charge a registration to cover those costs, because we had nothing, right? We're just starting from
just trying to help
scratch.
out and get people to have somewhere to go and
Yeah.
talk and
Exactly.
help to get through these things.
Well, I mean, until you know the pain, you can't even imagine, and you don't want to. So it was been in my heart for so many years, and I knew just like this was this was a big part of my healing as well. Like, I mean, it had been 16 years, but I'm still, it's not something that you ever really truly get over, but you do learn to adjust and heal and become better in life. And you do, after the loss of a child, there is, if you will, take the time to heal. Many people run. It's too painful, but there is life, there is joy, there is meaning, and there's life after the death of a child. So that's kind of where my vision was, and just wanting to be around people. It wasn't just for them, it was for me too, because I always wanted to be with parents who totally understood, and I didn't have to let Michaela die. She's so vibrant in my life, and I could speak to them and they were going, oh yeah, and then they would talk to me about their children, and nobody was running away because it was too painful for them.
Because they were going through the same.
Exactly.
We'll be right back with McGowan's Canvas Miracles in a moment. Well, welcome back to McGowan's Canvas Miracles. We're here with Darlene Summers, and we're talking about an amazing organization that she's part of and how it touches people. Hey, this is almost like having a microphone. I looked down at this,
It's
this
a
paintbrush.
fuzzy one.
We're painting some clouds today, just something simple, just having some fun, having a great conversation.
Yeah.
And so this brush here, it's made of sable hair. It's a real special brush.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why some brushes are expensive and crazy. What it does is it makes things really soft. So we're just going to touch over our cloud with that just lightly.
The cloud?
Yeah, just gently touch it into your sky. Not rub it too much, just a few spots here and there. Beautiful. Amazing.
Yeah.
That was incredible. The way you did that.
Thanks,
Now we're going to
Rob.
pull off this tape.
Okay.
We got a nice straight line to work with.
Oh,
Yeah. So that's going to be our horizon line.
nice.
So what we're going to do is take this blue now, and we're going to come down from that horizon line and just paint in this direction all the way along. And we're going to go all the way down, just going side to side, creating a sort of a bay of water, I guess we'll call it.
Aha.
It's a simple painting you can do with your children or somebody or yourself, just to get practice using brush strokes. So you get this all set up, they're all going in, you got some speakers, you don't know if anybody's going to show up. And so how does the first event go?
The first event was amazing. I also, just because it was our very first one and it can draw up some emotions, I spoke with a wonderful woman, Darlene McLean from Mental Health. And she came and she was in the back table, not that she, what did I do?
So this brush,
Yes,
so you're going like this?
yes,
No.
of
You
course.
take it on the
Yes.
side there, and just going to go back and forth,
Back
creating
and
these
forth.
little lines is what happens.
Oh, I see what
So
you
brush
mean.
strokes make a difference.
Right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Darlene McLean. go on.
Yes, so she came and she was in the back of the room with the table with all kinds of things on suicide, because there's been a lot of suicides in our community,
Yes.
and we had parents there, and I mean, we don't know exactly where anybody is, right? We all know our pain. It's all the same, but we all have different stories, and we all have different ways of going about, healing. And so we're walking into this really with not a lot of knowledge of people.
Trying to understand.
We're not interviewing people. We're opening it up for parents who have lost children. So it was nice of her to be there. However, it went really well, and we realized that we didn't really need that, because parents who have lost children just want to be around parents who have lost children. And we don't profess to be grief counselors or any kind of counselors, but we sure do understand. And when it's such a heavy topic, but we have a lot of fun at our events too, because laughter is so important. And we got some pretty comical characters, as in a lot of the dads, and they love to torment and play and hang out, and it's not all about the grief. We laugh, we cry, we share, You don't have to share anything if you don't want to.
Well, it's a place of healing, right?
Yes,
Really.
yes.
That's what I like about it. Yeah.
It's so, everybody's just at home. It's incredible. We've never had, and I think this would be, we have an event coming up on April 12th. And we started out originally doing 2-day events. And then we went down to Friday night and Saturday events. And our last event in, I don't know if it was the Christmas one. I do believe it was the Christmas one. The power went out. Yes, it was at the Travel Lodge again. The power went out for Friday night. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, oh my, what are we going to do? I can't, there's no lights. We can't do we couldn't have it. There's no heat. There's no lights in the Travel Lodge. So, I just said, well, we're just going to have it, we're going to put it all together. We're going to, bring it together in one day, and we're just going to have to do it. So I spoke to the committee and the speakers, and we just said, we don't have a choice. We're going to do it, and it worked amazing. When things happen, you wonder about it, because now we realize we can do it in one day. Mm-hmm. It's a lot in one day, but it's better because it's not taking a whole weekend, because it is hard. It's not easy to go there. I know people who want to go, Rob, and they just can't make those steps to get there, Stan. It's such an amazing place.
Well, the fact that it's a group of people going through the same things and the same emotions and can understand each other, because nobody, obviously, I could never understand such a thing going through. I couldn't even imagine.
No,
So to have something like that, and people where they can spend their time together and get that healing that they need, because the grief, it would be just unbearable, you would think.
It is.
Anybody who's
It
a parent
totally
would
is.
think that. Yeah.
It totally is a pain on its own,
So-
for sure.
When you're at the group and you're at the meetings and you hear the speakers, so it's a way of sort of getting information too about healing and what
It is.
counseling and different things that people have done to get through that kind of grief. So it's really
Yes.
helpful to people in that sense.
It is. It is. As I say, we don't have professionals in there, helping us. Most of us have gone to counselors, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. I have myself, and I had 4 other
You
children.
are the professionals. That's what I think.
In a sense, and I mean, because, not to downgrade any curriculum or anything that you learn in counseling, but if you haven't lost a child, you only have book smarts to and some of it works, like some of it helps, but the deep, dark night of the soul, as I call it, is it can't be touched unless somebody truly understands, and that's our anchors. They're our anchors. They have no idea. I started, yes, it was my vision. And I'll tell you about how the vision came about in a moment, but they have no idea how much they helped me, because that's all I've ever wanted, was to feel normal and to be with parents who have lost children, because we don't even have to say anything. We look at the eyes of parents and we know. But then we do talk lots and we share lots.
And I imagine some beautiful friendships flourish from these things, and just...
Rob, thank you for bringing that up, because it's like we call it our new family. It's like a family. It's like, and every time we have it, we always have new people coming in. The more that people hear about it, I think the more they're going to trust it. The more that, and I mean, it's not something that started and went and fell through the way fair. It's like something that's growing. It's growing. It's gaining momentum. Unfortunately, but every day we hear tell of somebody in the community that is losing children. There's a lot of tragedies, and there's a lot of parents who are grieving, and I know where they are. 18 years ago for me, going to be 19, and I know where they are, and I got to watch my hand there, but it really touches my heart, because I go, oh, they have a long road ahead of them, but they have a place to go now where I didn't, and that is why I received the vision And it was in my heart for many years, but then I received a vision in 2018. And it was a very clear vision. Would you like to hear the vision?
Yes, I would like to hear. And as you tell me,
yes.
see how you have little white on the edge of your water there? So then it edges out your painting. So you don't want to have any white marks on the edges. Just clean those off. And leave the white in the middle, but just take off the edges. Yeah.
Okay.
Just because your eye has a tendency to try and figure out why is that being framed in. So we want to take away anything that draws your eye. That's all.
Is it like that?
Yeah.
As such? Should I do this
Perfect.
side as well?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, a little more paint.
Yeah. Beautiful. So tell me about the vision.
Yeah, so the vision, was deep inside of me, the yearning, the wanting, and I couldn't seem to get it to come about. And then my life hit another crisis in 2018, 2019. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And it's the scariest prognosis in the world. I mean, anybody who's diagnosed with any form of cancer, fear takes right over you. You go, my God, like cancer, I'm probably not going to make it, which wasn't the case for me. I mean, I'm totally fine. But at that initial time, and I had to go through, operations and radiation, no chemo, thankfully. It made me stop and think about, am I ever going to get this done? You got to get going. You have to get this thing going. So I dedicated a whole summer. I had my operation in, I think it was the spring, and I dedicated that whole summer. Am I doing that too, Rob?
Yes, you're just going to take water as you talk.
Yes.
And just paint it down, straight lines with water. No paint in your brush, just water. Keep going.
So I dedicated, and my go-to is meditation. I love to meditate. I spend a lot of time in meditation. But I also love nature, so I combined the two, and I found a dock, and I went every morning. I worked nights, so it just worked perfect for me. I get up in the morning, I would drive to that dock, and I would sit on the dock with my coffee and just enjoy nature thoroughly, but then I would meditate. And I specifically meditated towards, which I didn't even have a name at the time, was my group, or the group I wanted to get started. And I did have a vision. It just came to me, it blew my mind. I was sitting there and eyes open, and I didn't actually see the vision, but it was in my mind, of all of these children they're in the sky, and they were so happy, and they were dancing, and they were just like beaming, babies and children and adult children, and there wasn't a dozen, there were hundreds and hundreds of all these children, and I didn't quite understand it at the moment. And then it came to me, and I looked, I said, these are the children. These are our children. And so I always had pen and paper on hand, but I didn't always use it during my meditations. But I looked up and I said, oh my goodness, this is it. How am I ever going to get this group together? And I'm asking the children. I mean, some people may think I'm crazy, but honestly, this is truly what happened. And all I heard audibly, not real, but audibly in my mind, soul, was, you get it started. We will bring our parents. And that hit me so hard. I knew I didn't have to worry about it. I knew that I didn't have to do anything but get this thing going. And they would bring their parents, because, I mean, if you believe anything, and they're still with us, they don't want us hurting the way we're hurting, right? So I said, and to kind of make it even realer, I took my pen and I said, and the word BraveHearts came to my mind just like that. And I went, BraveHearts. And I was kind of a bit ticked at BraveHearts, because I thought, that's too, I'm not no Braveheart. And it again came to me, you are not a healed heart. A Braveheart isn't a healed heart. It's a brave heart who gets up every morning and lives in this lonely pain.
Through the struggle.
But we do it anyway. So that's where the name came.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then a song came. a song I wrote within 10 to 15 minutes. I wrote this beautiful song. We've got to copyright it now. We have Shannon Linkletter, if anybody knows, she's a voice of an angel. She's singing it. Chris Larson he put the music to it. We've got it. I did copyright it, and now we're getting it professionally done. And it's just words from our children. It all happened within 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of phenomenal, and I have to say, if you believe at all, I mean, I couldn't write a song. Most people can't write a song in 15 minutes and have it to be so profound, right? Yeah, so that's kind of the
Well, art
vision.
usually comes from deep within. It's a heartfelt thing. I used to tell my daughter that I love painting and I love art, but one of the things most people don't realize is anytime I do great work, it's usually I'm going through something really hard in life.
Isn't that the truth?
Isn't it something? Whether it's writing, whether it's a painting, whether that's usually the moments when life is sort of beating you down.
True.
But it's the moment of creation. You create something new, and it takes you out of it, and you find a new way, a new spark, and it's in those journeys.
Absolutely. And right, so if I had, I don't know, but if I hadn't have been diagnosed with the cancer, would I have been still traveling along saying, oh, someday I'm going to get this going, right? So as you say that, it's so true, because everything's for a reason, and it really, I mean, thankfully, my prognosis was very good. It was actually a 0-stage cancer. I mean, I was so thankful, and they told me that if there was any form of breast cancer, that I had the best one. So, but it did kick me in the butt. It did kick me in the butt, so. And that's kind of the vision, and the mission is just to, to help parents, first of all, get them there, and then to help them understand that once they're there, they see a whole different, yes, we do talk about the death of our children, and it can stir things up, but if you don't feel, you're not going to heal. And we can't be afraid of that pain, because once we're feeling the pain, it releases, right? This is Mitchell's coin, and Mitchell Linkletter, and he always says, we're frozen. We are frozen. We need to become unfrozen. We need to become unfrozen, and we do, and we help each other do that.
A long time ago, I was walking along the river, and we're going to talk, we might as well talk about that. So and I was going along, and there was this mist coming up, and it was like dancers on the river. It was like every one of them would be dancing, and they were all or playing music and stuff, and I was watching this thinking, that's the strangest thing, but it's so beautiful. I had to sit there and watch this mist dance off the river, and I was with a friend at the time, and it was just a magical thing. And then later I was sitting in my studio, and I started painting this, and in my head, I thought, well, these are sort of the children, who have done things and gone to heaven, and the transformation. And I imagine a young woman who would be playing a violin or something, and it got me inspired to do this painting. So the idea behind it was the girl with the violin, she's leaving us. So in the beauty of her life, she's moving off to the mist, and then the mist dancers were going up into the heavens. And I thought, how many we've lost too young, too early.
Oh, Rob, that's how this painting came about.
Yeah, so not knowing why at the time, because I hadn't lost a child. But I felt emotionally connected to this kind of a feeling that I was trying to capture. So then it sat in my office forever, because I thought, who wants a picture of somebody disappearing and, flying up to heaven and telling the story? It didn't make sense to me. So then one day, a girl in my art class, she says, oh, I'd like to have a painting for charity. I said, well, this painting is meant for charity. It's meant to do something special. And then, so she ends up giving it to your charity.
Yes.
Which turned into this really inspiring thing, because then it was like it matches up perfect to why the painting was done at the time. So you guys have put it together, and now you're using it to raise funds for your organization. It's getting all framed up, and that'll be done and be ready for your a big event. So if anybody, we'll talk at the show about how you can do it. So if you want to get in on that and help out the organization.
When the lady at painting class, she wrote me and she said, Darlene, this is for BraveHearts, it's not for me. And I thought, oh, and then it was done by you. And I said, so she gave it to me, and I said to the committee, let's do a fundraiser on this, because that painting is not only, when you're doing the transformation, everybody has lost somebody. And the picture is breathtaking. I do have a BraveHearts Facebook group, and it's private because it's, it needs to be private. People need to be able to speak.
Sure.
And so
is there a place where they can go and see it or buy tickets
yes,
and stuff?
it's called BraveHearts, Those Who Have Lost a Child. And you'll see the picture of myself and my little girl when she was 9. It was shortly before she passed away.
So we'll be right back from McGowan's Canvas Miracles after this. Welcome back to McGowan's Canvas Miracles. Well, it was an amazing story. We were talking about this incredible painting behind me and the story behind it. And it's funny how life and God, the universe, it all sort of pulls things together. This morning, I usually have anybody who's watched the show, I have a great big horse painting here that's no longer here. It's gone to its home, to its owner, and they finally had to part with it. I've been holding on to it for a while, but I let that go, and there was a space available in the set today, and I thought, wow, and you just happened to bring that painting. We didn't plan that. That wasn't planned
Not
at all. And you were doing the event. I thought, wow. So you just never know how things come together.
It's not perfect
Pretty
timing
incredible.
for everything.
Yeah. So we got a cloud up here in the right coming down. So we're going to take a little white, just sort of dab it on our brush, and we're going to just sort of paint the same shape of cloud down in the water. But as we paint it in, we want the strokes going like the water way. So we're just going to go back and forth like this, just creating that sort of shape, the cloud up above.
Like a reflection.
Yeah.
True.
Exactly like a reflection. Yeah.
How's that
Now,
looking?
so whenever you put it on, never hit second time. Remember?
Ah,
The secret to painting is don't let your brush hit the same place twice, because it pulls the paint off and takes away the color. So
okay.
just touch it on, and then get your brush out of the way. And it goes right off the page, so we'll come right off the page with it. Yeah, beautiful. Now we're going to take this brush, you're just going to pull down on it a bit and soften it up. We're always making edges soft. Who wants to have hard edges?
That's right. Good.
Yeah. So next we're going to put another cloud up in the sky. So start, add a little white, throw it into the top. I pat a little white on. Nope, I pat a little white on. None of this side to side. That was down here in the water.
Darlene.
Now we're going to push on our brush and just sort of blend that cloud out. Softly blending that cloud out. And we're going to take this soft brush and we're going to totally soften it up. There you go. And just take that and soften her up.
So up and down, Rob,
Yeah,
eh?
no,
Oh,
just
no,
some
all
soft
around.
circles.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, taking out the edges, any lines that look like somebody painted it, try and make the sky look nice and soft. All that artist work. That's good.
Trying to be
That's good, nice
professional
and
here.
soft. And then down in the water, take a little bit of that white. So right where that cloud is there, we're
Doing
going
the
to,
same. Oh, okay, we know.
same kind of thing, just pat on some of that paint. Try and get roughly the same shape. Obviously the water would move it around so it wouldn't be exact. And then we'll just soften that up. And put a few little side strokes in it. And we'll take some of our blue and we'll just touch it through so it becomes like water through the reflection. Touch of the blue.
Nice.
Yeah, so just put a
I'll
little bit
see
of blue.
that,
Oh, your soft brush.
Rob makes it look so easy, eh?
Yeah, it is easy.
All right.
2 colors, a little bit of circles and lines, and you got all of a sudden a cloud picture going on.
It is truly a lot easier than when when you see a picture and you think, oh my goodness, how could anyone have created that beautiful picture?
Yeah, and it's all just, if we tackle it just like life, with little bits at a time. So Van Gogh, who had
My
probably
favorite.
one of the most tragic lives,
My favorite.
but he had this dream, this vision. He's like, I want to create art, I want to do these things. And it wasn't just about art with him. He wanted to do something special in life. He tried to be a preacher, he tried to be all kinds of things over his time. Nothing ever quite worked out for him. He always was a little broke or couldn't get things quite where he wanted. Even his paintings, you know, but he became obsessed. He went there for sort of meditation purposes. He went out into the fields to paint and sort of release all the feelings he had about not feeling good enough. You know, the woman he had fallen in love with was taken away, and all kinds of things had happened to him, and he just couldn't get his life together. So he went into the field and he started painting these pictures, and in there he found this great joy. He found, when I paint the sunflowers or I paint the lights, it just lifts my heart. Even though my life is falling apart and it's crashing all the day, this one thing there's something special to it. And he wrote the most. If you get the chance, go online and look up Vincent van Gogh's letters. He's known for his paintings.
Yes, I do his paintings a lot.
But the
He's so
writings he
unique.
has are the most incredible writing you're ever going to see. You're going to hear a man's soul and poetry like you've never imagined. He had a great gift of gab and talking. He used to say that if something inside you says you can't paint, even if your world surrounding you says you can't paint, because in his time they thought, no, Vincent, this isn't for us. You don't fit in. But he said, no, I got to paint. And he just kept going at it. And I mean, obviously now around the world, Vincent van Gogh's paintings inspire and light up the life of so many people. And, you know, if he'd only known
After
what
the
he
fact,
would
right?
do. Yeah.
Yes.
But they were that important to the world, and he didn't even know it. So even some of the people going through what they're going through, they don't realize how important they are to the world.
That's so true, Rob. Everybody has something inside of them.
Maybe I'll put another cloud, smaller clouds down here coming across, just to create a sort of a plane, some light little something going on. And maybe I'll put a little bigger cloud up in the top corner, sort of tying it down into that cloud, just to create some fun. So I'm just taking my brush that's a little bit dirty and just lightly touching across to create a
Getting rid of your paint.
bit of white in there, yeah. So on your clouds,
Yes?
you're going to take some white and just on one side, pop a little bit of white
White.
onto there just to make them stand out a bit. Awesome. Now we're going to clean out our brush.
Beautiful.
So you got an event coming up here
We do.
really soon, too.
So yes, it's next week, and it's down to the one day. So we start on April the 12th.
Okay.
And all of our events now, they originally started at Travel Lodge, but we only do our Christmas event there now. We have all of our events are at 150 Pleasant Street. So it's where the returning office is, where everybody goes to vote.
Okay.
But as soon as you go in there, there's an elevator, and we're going right up to the 4th floor. So we bypass all the election. We just go up, and it'll be all set up there.
Okay.
We ask people to be there around 8:30 because where we have condensed the 2 days into one, we have to start a little earlier to get all the speakers, and our share times are the healing. And it's so important to have the share times. You know, and you don't have to share anything. You can just be amongst them, and we do the feather, and if you don't want to share, you just pass that feather. There's no pressure on anyone. But I find that when people share, and they talk about their child, and they share a little bit about their journey with the loss of their children, that's when the healing begins, because they get that stuff out. Rob, I'm a firm believer, if you keep stuff shoved down and pretend things never happened and you run away from your pain and you don't feel the pain to heal the pain, you can get sick.
Oh, I
Because
believe it.
that is emotional stuff and it's right in your cells. And I mean, I really believe that that's probably why I was quite a runner for many years. And it could be one of the reasons why I mean, if it's not coming out, it's going to evaporate, it's going to turn into something in there. So that's another one of my my drives to help people get this stuff out of them.
You take a little black, Payne's gray, and we're going to
I see what you're doing there.
sort of just make a ridge line against your horizon, just something to say there's something back there. We're not looking for anything spectacular, just so Impressionist painting is about just creating the illusion there's something there with a few dots of paint here and there, and then our mind fills in the rest. It's an incredible thing.
Yes.
You'll walk through an airport or a big place and you'll see these amazing paintings, but if you take the time and you walk up really close, you go, wait a minute, this is just like some dots splashed on here and there. So the great artists have this tendency to, what can I put on the canvas to get your mind moving in the direction of what I want you to see? Because once our mind starts to think, oh, what is this? It's going to fill in things. It's incredible how much work it'll do for us. So the artist himself doesn't need to do much. He just needs to get you thinking in the right direction. And that's the guidance.
That's such a way to explain that, because it's true. When I look at a painting, before I started taking your painting classes, when I look at a painting, I've always drawn, but I would go, I'd never be able to do that. Where does he get the brains for that? How does he get this together, or she? That's a very, very nice concept to understand, because it's not as big as what we think it is.
No.
No.
And each artist has a different rhythm to them and something that goes on. And as you start to paint and pull a few techniques together, there's something that happens that you enjoy, and it starts to show up in your painting, and then people start to realize, oh, that's one of your paintings. I can tell by the right strokes or the left.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take a little bit of that brush, and we're not going to add any more paint. We're just going to sort of rub the bottom of our clouds a bit, just taking some of that paint out of our brush. And we can take our cloth and just rub our clouds, blend some of that in. And all this is doing is making our highlights a little brighter on the top. Just little things. You can use a rag, use your finger. Yeah. You can even put in a little dark cloud here.
I think that all my paint's gone in my brush. Can I add some? Or just water?
Water is all you need. At this point, you want a real transparent kind of color.
See, mine are coming white, yours are dark.
Yeah. And then the very last thing is to add another touch of white that we don't rub at all, just sits on top of the cloud. It creates this beautiful, brilliant sky up there.
Oh, yes.
This is like the simplest cloud anybody could paint. Nothing to it. Pull it down into some of that mixture. A little bit of blending and softening. I'm going to take some dark blue, mix it with this black here, and down at the front, just to make it look even a little bit more close to me. I'm going to do sort of what you would call an impasto kind of layer. We're just going to add some thick paint right here at the bottom. Just some lines of water. I'm going to break it up, so I don't want it solid. I want to see some of those lines through it.
Right.
So real thick, just pouring it on thick, and it's going to create that real illusion of like there's some nice big beautiful waves here. And we don't want to go back with that because that's in the distance. Yeah, and that's it. Simple as that. You can't get any easier than that for painting.
Now you're softening it up.
Yeah, just a touch. And then you could add a boat in there, or you could add
Oh, you
a
put
treescape
birds.
or birds,
You
or
could-
yeah.
yes.
So once you have an idea of how to do a basic background of some kind, anything you see you can add in and
Beautiful.
put in. Yeah, it's good
Thank
fun.
you.
Yeah. So
Very nice.
so where do you see your BraveHearts going in the future? And
Well, I was asked that question this morning by a mentor of mine. Where do you see BraveHearts going? And I said, expanding and healing. That's what I see. I want it to expand. I want more awareness because it's such a hard topic.
And there's so many people going through it.
There's so many people
Incredible.
going through it, and like I go right back to when I first met Buddy O'Toole and went, this is just who I needed. A parent who lost a child. And I know that there are some parents who just can't make that step, and that's the story about Mitchell and Shannon, when they decided that they were going to be speakers. And that's, you know, I mean, when you lose a child to suicide, that's a whole nother level as well, right? There's a, so they're so needed, and they are so spectacular when they do their talks. And they said it was the longest walk that they ever did, walking down that hall, and they both wanted to run away. And Mitchell says, I can't, we got to do it, we're the speakers. So it's kind of funny. But that was 2 years ago, and Shannon shared something with me, and she said, you know, it's been 10 years since their son committed suicide, and she said, since BraveHearts, she said, Mitchell sings in the shower again. She said he always sang in the shower, and for 10 years he never sang in the shower. And I love that story because it shows that he's becoming unfrozen. You know, and we are becoming unfrozen because you freeze when you lose a child because it's just unnatural. You're not supposed to go before your children, right?
No.
And so, I mean, I think that's the strongest word you could use to explain the feeling of having a child die before you is you just become frozen. You don't know what to do, and you don't want to do it. You don't want to get up and do it, but you have to, right? So I want my goal and my heart, and I put so many hours into this, and the committee, we meet once a month, we brainstorm, we're healing, and we want this to expand, and we want healing. Create an event in their name, in their honor, and this, it doesn't heal, but it slowly takes the, you know, the peeling of an onion off. You do get to the core.
Thank you for coming out today.
On behalf of me and my committee, thank you.